I'm Scott Hansen, host of NFL Red Zone. Lowe's knows Sundays are for football. That's why we're here to help you get your next DIY project done, even when the clock isn't on your side. Whether that's a new Filtrete filter or Bosch and Cobalt power tools, Lowe's has everything you need to feel like the MVP of DIY. So get it done and earn your Sunday. Shop now, in-store and online. Lowe's, official partner of the NFL.
You know what's wild? Most people are still overpaying for car insurance just because it's a pain to switch. That's why there's Jerry. Jerry is the only app that compares rates from over 50 insurers in minutes and helps you switch fast with no spam calls or hidden fees. Drivers who save with Jerry could save over $1,300 a year. Before you renew your car insurance policy, do yourself a favor. Download the Jerry app or head to jerry.ai/acast.
This episode is brought to you by Capital One. Capital One's tech team isn't just talking about multi-agentic AI, they already deployed one. It's called Chat Concierge, and it's simplifying car shopping. Using self-reflection and layered reasoning with live API checks, it doesn't just help buyers find a car they love. It helps schedule a test drive, get pre-approved for financing, and estimate trade-in value. Advanced, intuitive, and deployed. That's how they stack. That's technology at Capital One.
Okay, real talk. Quitting or cutting back on nicotine doesn't have to mean changing your whole vibe or skipping out on your friends. That's why I'm into Quit with Jones. They make discreet, great-tasting nicotine mints. So when everyone else heads out for a smoke break, you're still right there, fresh breath and all. Plus, their app is actually helpful. You can log your mints, track your progress, connect with other quitters in the community, even play this 1-minute game that helps cravings pass. And with the combo of digital support and nicotine replacement, studies show people have way better chances of sticking with it. If you're ready to take a step toward quitting or just cutting back, go to quitwithjones.com/fresh10. You can take the free quiz and get $10 off your personalized quitting journey. That's code FRESH10. And just a heads up, the mints contain nicotine, which is an addictive chemical. Jones is FDA approved for 18 years and up.
This is the Daily Tech News for Thursday, September 4th, 2025. We tell you what you need to know. We follow up on context. We embrace you in understanding.
Well, today, Andy Beach tells us why the NBA, MLB, and others are investing in AI startups and cute smart bots, new Dyson products, robot lawnmowers, and more from IFA in Berlin.
NBA should be investing in the cute smart bots, if you ask me. I'm Tom Merritt.
I'm Huyen now.
Let's start with what you need to know with the big story. IFA is happening in Berlin. And like CES in January, it's just CES. That one doesn't work. Companies are scrambling for a piece of the spotlight. There are so many product announcements. This is day one. So you're getting like press day was yesterday and everything's getting announced today. Everybody's walking the show floor. So we're going to highlight some of the product announcements from IFA that are getting the most attention. Let's start with Philips, which overhauled its smart home lineup, led by the $99 Hue Bridge Pro. If you got an old Hue Bridge, you might want to spend the $99 to upgrade, like I have, like I plan to. The new Hue Bridge Pro is Matter compliant, so that means it's compatible with Apple Home, Amazon Alexa, Google Home, Samsung SmartThings, and can connect 150 lights and 50 accessories. Those are soft limits. You might be able to squeeze in a few more. It can also connect over Wi-Fi. So you don't have to plug it into Ethernet, which I know is anathema to some people. But, you know, if your system is a little inflexible, you don't have to have it right next to your modem. You can also use Hue-compatible lights as motion sensors when you have this bridge. The A19 smart lights got an update. Those are their flagship smart lights. They now use 40% less power. And all new Hue bulbs are Matter over Thread compliant. That means they not only work with other systems, but they work over the Thread communication system, which makes them even more compatible. And it means you don't need the Hue hub. There's a reason to get the Hue hub is now because you want that like fancy, like turn it into a sensor thing. But if you don't have one, you can still buy Hue compatible lights and use them. Philips also has a smart doorbell called Hue Secure that comes with or without a camera. First time they've been doing a smart doorbell. The secure cameras are now available with 2K video, and there are lower priced bulbs, something Philips fans have wanted for a long time. I think they stole this from the Fear of God fashion line. They're called Philips Essentials. And they only cost $25 compared to the standard $60 you pay for the flagship bulbs. And the trade-off is they don't dim as low down, and you don't get as wide of a range of white light. But if that doesn't matter to you, you're saving some money. Finally, you can now control Hue lights if you have a Sonos speaker. They launched that Sonos partnership, so you can use Sonos voice control to control your Philips Hue lights.
Oh, that's amazing. Okay, so I have a very simple question. I read this out for my husband, and we have Hue lights in many, many places in our house, but his hostility to the Hue hub was great and very fierce. Can we use the new, is there any upgrading that we would have to do with any current lights, do you know, to use the Hue hub, or should it be compatible with any bulbs that we currently have in the house?
It would be able to control the current bulbs you have, but you're not going to get the new features.
The fancy stuff. Okay.
Right. Because you're not getting the new chip in the new lights and all of that.
Well, as long as we don't have to replace every single thing in our house, I'm going to make him buy one because...
Actually, I take that back. You might be able to use some of them as motion sensors.
Yeah,
because that's just interpreting information.
Yeah.
I'm not 100% sure on where the line is on that, but I think older bulbs might be able to work for that.
Okay, I'm going to make him buy one.
Yeah, do it. Robot vacuum maker Roborock showed off its first robotic lawnmower called the Rockmo. Because they could have been Robomo, but they went with Rockmo. The Roborock's spin on the usual autonomous lawnmower, because it's got satellite control and, autonomous patterns and all of that stuff that you get from lawnmowers, is to add a small extra cutting deck with a blade specifically for edge trimming within 3 centimeters of walls. This is the biggest complaint from people who have robotic lawnmowers is they still have to go out and do the edging. Rockmo is promising maybe you won't have to. There are 3 versions of the Rockmo. The highest end is the Z1 or the Z1, which has all-wheel drive, so it can handle slopes up to 80% and even clear small steps. If it's 6 centimeters tall or shorter, it can get up those steps if you have a really fancy backyard with steps, I guess. It is coming to Europe in a few months and the U.S. in 2026. We don't know prices yet.
All right. I love Roborock. We have a Roborock mopper vacuum, and I would love this. And yes, in the back where my husband tends to mow, there was a retaining wall where wasps love to live. So there was a hilarious afternoon where he had to ditch the lawnmower and come inside because they decided no thank you. So we might just have to get the Rockmo and let the Rockmo handle the wasp-ridden backyard.
Yeah, sting this, wasp. Rockmo don't care.
Oh, they'll be so mad. I love it. I'm getting one too.
Belkin launched a wireless charger that caught a lot of people's eye. The Ultra Charge Magnetic Charger 25W is its snappy little name. It is a Qi 2.2 charger, so current wireless Qi standard. And as you might have guessed from the name, supports 25-watt charging, so it can charge real fast. Has a kickstand. That's the big innovation here, as well as some passive cooling tech to prevent the thing from getting too hot while it's charging. And just to further distance itself from Google's Pixel Snap charger, which definitely seems to be the target here, it has a 2-meter long cable, so you can put it in more places. It is coming in October and only costs you $39.
It does come with a cable organizer too, which for those of you like me who just cannot stand up long cables, yes, that's just heaven when it comes to
2-meter long cable if you need it, organizer if you don't.
I love it.
Yeah.
Into it.
It's pretty nice. And only $39. Huawei is already onto the 2nd generation of its Mate XT trifold phone. It runs Harmony OS 5.1, which is Huawei's own version of Android, and can be configured as a tablet in 2 different ways. That's what the Mate XTS has different than the original Mate XT. So you can fully open it and use it as a tablet, as you could with the original XT. But it's also configured the hinge so you can use 2 screens for the display, and the other is sort of a kickstand, almost like a laptop format. The new Mate XT S starts at 17,999 yuan.
I'm impressed. I mean, we barely have any trifolds out in the wild, and they're just like, hey, here's a version 2. Here's what we can do.
Already
Love
onto it. I mean, it's the S version, right? It's not a fully new version, but it's got a couple interesting things. Okay. Eufy launched its S4 security cameras that have a wide-angle 4K camera that's fixed, but then two 2K sensors that can move for tracking. So it can zoom in on a person up to 164 feet away. It can activate red and blue warning lights and a siren if it detects an intruder. And when paired with Eufy's Homebase S380, which is sold separately, it can do facial recognition to identify friendlies. So it doesn't do it when you come home. Comes with a 5.5-watt detachable solar panel that can fully charge in 1 hour of direct sunlight. 1 hour a day brings that battery up to the top, and it's detachable. So if you're like, well, I need the camera here, but the sun's over here, you can play with that. The S4 costs $300 coming later this year.
Cool.
You're not worried about people attacking your home.
No. We're a Unify house, so but it is nice to see. Sorry. Great.
It's a cool story, Eufy. I don't have much to add to this either. It's a pretty decent price, and I love that it's got the ability to do the tracking. I'm very curious how you set it if you don't have the home base. You know, is it manual alerts? Like, you don't want to just going off with the siren every time you come home. I'm sure there's a way to prevent that.
I do like the detachable solar panel, though. Actually, that can charge fully in 1 hour of direct sunlight. Yeah. That is pretty awesome.
I really want that for all my outdoor devices. Yes. I want little solar panels for them. SwitchBot launched a new smart home hub, an e-ink art frame, and 2 animated robot pets named Nico and Noah. They just have slightly different looks. Otherwise, they're functionally the same. The hub, let's start there, uses cloud models to interpret what's happening in your home and report it to you or let you ask general questions. So it's just supporting all of SwitchBot's smart home stuff, but you can say, like, where did I leave my phone? And it'll use computer vision to look for your phone and then show you so you can find it. The e-ink Spectra 6 display lets you upload art or generate it from a prompt. That's available in 3 sizes and fits in standard IKEA frames. And the Noah and Nico are bots that look like fuzzy penguins with glowy blue eyes. They have wheels so they can move around. They can recognize you and your family members. They can respond to your gestures. They can react to your emotions. They can pretend to express feelings themselves and learn your household routines. Sad thing about all of these is no price or release date on any of it.
All right, confession. I didn't have a response for the Eufy because I got distracted looking at Nico and Noah on. They're adorable. I question where they look like fuzzy penguins, y'all. They look like fuzzy bears to me. So you
think more bear?
I think more bear. They have no beaks, Tom.
There is no beak. You're right. It's a button nose.
It's button nose.
I took the fuzzy penguin from Jennifer at The Verge, but maybe I was overly swayed by Jennifer.
They have a penguin like color scheme, color coding, and the little sensors in their bellies I find actually charming. They're like buttons, but I believe those are sensors or cameras. Something.
Now that you've said this, I can't unsee the bareness of them. Yeah.
Maybe I just don't understand penguins. Maybe that's
the thing. I think I didn't understand penguins. Your penguin understanding is unchallenged.
All right.
And finally, Dyson announced multiple updates and new products at IFA. The Spot and Scrub AI robot vacuum can detect stains and better avoid obstacles while vacuuming and mopping. The V16 Piston Animal cordless vacuum can sense the floor type and then adjust its suction and brush bar speed accordingly. The Clean Plus Wash Hygiene hard floor cleaner is a wet and dry floor cleaner that doesn't need a filter. So it's not as gross to clean out. And the Hush Jet Purifier Compact HJ10 is a compact air purifier that's quiet, and it's meant for smaller rooms. It is $350, so a little cheaper, and coming September 30th. That's the only one they put a price on, and everything else is coming in 2026. They also had a bunch of updates to their existing line of stuff, too, if you're a Dyson fan.
I am, and I actually really do enjoy or like the idea of a vacuum that can sense the floor type and adjust suction and brush bar speed, because as a 40-year-old person who's been spent half their life in tech, I still don't understand on regular vacuums the little adjuster that I believe is height for carpet. I have no idea what to do with that. I would rather have something that knows better than me taking care of that for me. So yes, thank you, Dyson. I need that.
I love that. Yeah. I go back and forth on Dyson. It's kind of in that Bose category for me where I'm like, it's kind of better sometimes, but I think it's overhyped, but it's also pretty good. Yeah.
Yeah. We have several Dysons. The one thing that actually I think is preventing me from widely recommending them, other than obviously the price, is actually the filters and any kind of replaceable parts. If you are someone who cares a lot about sustainability, you're going to be really sad. There's a lot. The filters need to be changed frequently, and there's tons of plastic and other very non-recyclable looking things I don't actually know, and they're expensive. So yeah, that's the kind of one thing, is like the long-term maintenance feels both expensive and not environmentally friendly. So that would be the one thing. That's why I think even if it doesn't have a filter, that feels good. Although then if it doesn't have a filter, that makes me wonder about how it's filtering out the gross stuff on your floor.
It is filtering it. It's just keeping it in a contained box.
Okay.
And then you have to empty that, but you don't have to pull out the filter. So it's a little nicer.
For the environment, I would do that. I would stand the dirty water. Okay. Sounds good. All right. Well, DTNS is made possible by you, the listener, thanks to John Atwood, Pat, Mike Cortez. Welcome new patrons, James, Kevin, and Logan, and patron raises from John, Joshua, Jacob, and Just Another Pilot.
Oh, this is great. Got 3 new patrons at once. Fantastic. And thanks for the raises, y'all. That's awesome.
Picture this. You're in the garage, hands covered in grease, just finished up tuning your engine with a part you found on eBay. And you realize, you know what? I could also use new brakes. So where do you go next? Back to eBay. You can find anything there. It's unreal. Wipers, headlights, even cold air intakes. It's all there. And you've got eBay Guaranteed Fit. You order a part, and if it doesn't fit, send it back. Simple as that. Look, DIY fixes can be major. Doesn't matter if it's just maintenance or a major mod. You got it, especially when things are guaranteed to fit. So when you dive into your next car project, start with eBay. All the parts you need at prices you'll love. Guaranteed to fit every time. eBay. Things people love.
Huddle up. We got one play. Everything we work for comes down to this.
Quick question. Speaking of workouts, how would you rate your athletic program?
Bro, we're in the middle of the state championship.
Oh, so like a B+ then?
Dude, get out of our huddle.
Well, at Homes.com, we leave it all on the field to get you detailed information on local schools.
Off the field.
Off the field. Copy. All right, go sports.
How did he even get in here?
Homes.com. We've done your homework.
You know what's wild? Most people are still overpaying for car insurance just because it's a pain to switch. That's why there's Jerry. Jerry is the only app that compares rates from over 50 insurers in minutes and helps you switch fast with no spam calls or hidden fees. Drivers who save with Jerry could save over $1,300 a year. Before you renew your car insurance policy, do yourself a favor. Download the Jerry app or head to jerry.ai/acast.
This episode is brought to you by Capital One. Capital One's tech team isn't just talking about multi-agentic AI, they already deployed one. It's called Chat Concierge, and it's simplifying car shopping. Using self-reflection and layered reasoning with live API checks, it doesn't just help buyers find a car they love. It helps schedule a test drive, get pre-approved for financing, and estimate trade-in value. Advanced, intuitive, and deployed. That's how they stack. That's technology at Capital One.
Okay, real talk. Quitting or cutting back on nicotine doesn't have to mean changing your whole vibe or skipping out on your friends. That's why I'm into Quit with Jones. They make discreet, great-tasting nicotine mints. So when everyone else heads out for a smoke break, you're still right there, fresh breath and all. Plus, their app is actually helpful. You can log your mints, track your progress, connect with other quitters in the community, even play this 1-minute game that helps cravings pass. And with the combo of digital support and nicotine replacement, studies show people have way better chances of sticking with it. If you're ready to take a step toward quitting or just cutting back, go to quitwithjones.com/fresh10. You can take the free quiz and get $10 off your personalized quitting journey. That's code FRESH10. And just a heads up, the mints contain nicotine, which is an addictive chemical. Jones is FDA approved for 18 years and up.
All right, there's more we need to know today. Let's get to the briefs.
Bloomberg's Mark Gurman says Apple plans to launch a search tool in iOS 26.4 in March, integrated into Siri, called World Knowledge Answers. The current version entirely uses Apple's own models, though Apple is testing using a custom version of Google's Gemini running on Apple servers to summarize results. Apple is also considering using Gemini or Claude for a planner module. Gurman says Apple is considering adding it to Safari and Spotlight as well. The article also indicates Apple is no longer considering acquiring another company like Perplexity or Mistral.
Yeah, so there goes my Apple and OpenAI are going to merge. Yeah, it seems like they're just going to buy tech where they need it and plug it in, which is a traditional Apple way of doing things. It is interesting to see them plug it into their own models, not just buy Gemini, right? Yeah. They're not just outsourcing it. They're saying like, we're going to use it to do the summarizing because it's good at that, and not the searching, which you think it would be better at, but Apple seems to think maybe it's better at searching. I guess we'll find out in March if it ships as on time as Gurman thinks it does, but it better work because all eyes are on this. The people who are willing to forgive Apple may not be willing to forgive them if they launch something and it disappoints them again.
Yeah, only so many chances. I do think it's so interesting in this kind of current zeitgeist of AI, how usually I think it feels like the tech companies have very disparate products and they compete solely on their own tech. But the AI, this modern AI era kind of like really blurs the line where everyone's kind of leveraging everyone else's models, but has their just own certain recipe where they take a sprinkle of this, a dash of that, mix it a few times, stick it in the oven, and then see what comes out. Whether that differentiates their own products from their competitors, who they're using.
You know why that seems so odd?
Why?
It's a competitive marketplace. That's what a competitive marketplace looks like.
Collaborative.
We forgot. Yeah. At Samsung's Galaxy, but not unpacked announcement, the company announced the Galaxy S25 FE, aka Fan Edition. The Galaxy S25 FE is now available for $650. As usual with the FE, it's mostly the same as the flagship phone, with a few compromises here and there in the specs. The biggest one being it runs on Samsung's own Exynos 2400 CPU instead of the Snapdragon 8 Elite. So performance may not be quite the same, but it should be close. Samsung also revealed new tablets, the Tab S11 series in two flavors, an Ultra and a base model, the S10 Lite, the Galaxy Buds 3 FE, and the FE there means you got fewer sound drivers, you got a sealed in-ear design instead of the open design, and a few other differences, and of course it's cheaper.
All right, well, a couple of new pieces of software came to Apple devices. Instagram launched its first iPad-specific version of the app. Yay, finally! Instead of just, doubling the size of the phone app. It shows a feed of reels on opening and lets you organize posts chronologically. Comments and DMs appear in a column next to the images they go with. And Adobe is going the other way, bringing the Adobe Premiere video editor to the iPhone as well as iPad on September 30th. It will be free to use, but you'll need to pay if you want to take advantage of Firefly AI assistance. You can pre-order the free app on the App Store now. Yep, I just said that. And an Android version is in the works, but no ETA on that yet.
Yeah, I guess it's not pre-order, it's pre-reserve.
A free thing.
Indicate I would like to download as soon as it's ready.
But it's digital, so it's not a limited supply. I find it fascinating that you can pre-order apps that are free. That's amazing.
Yeah. Well, and also, I think it's notable that this is actually free to use, no watermarks or anything like that. But it's the AI that's the, like, if you want to use it the old fashioned way and edit like it's 2022 again, fine, you can do that for free. But if you want to get modern with the Firefly, you got to pay. That's fascinating to me.
That is huge. That is a big, that's a big, what do you call it? Separation or kind of diversion of their previous models, which I know people aren't fans of. It is so fascinating too, because I used to work at Adobe, and I think it's so because a lot of their competitors recently, it's specifically in the video editing space, AI taken all kind of excluding all AI for now. Some of their biggest competitors are totally free. Like I think DaVinci Resolve is one of the biggest ones that were eating their lunch. And so this is a really fascinating tack where, okay, we're going to compete on that pricing of the basic video editing functionality, which everyone needs and which your competitors already provide. But hey, the AI, which granted their AI is great and it has been for a very long time, is the sauce that we're going to make money off of. Makes sense.
Yeah, it makes sense to me too. Atlassian, the makers of the Jira project management software, has agreed to buy the Browser Company, makers of the Arc, no longer being developed, and Dia, replacement for Arc web browsers. Apparently, OpenAI and Perplexity also reportedly looked into buying it, but didn't. Atlassian co-founder and CEO Mike Cannon-Brookes told CNBC, "It's really about taking Arc's software as a service application experience and power user features, and then Dia's AI and elegance and speed and sort of svelte nature, and Atlassian's enterprise know-how and working out how to put all that together into Dia or into the AI part of the browser."
All right, quick personal story. I used to work at Trello, which is another previous acquisition of Atlassian. And I said to my Atlassian friends this morning, "Hey guys, you brought a browser." And then basically my friend said, "Yeah, we got a 2-for-1. Isn't that a great deal? We got the browsers down at the browser store." And I replied with, "Labor Day sales are amazing, aren't they?" So
yeah, it's Labor Day weekend sale, 2-for-1. You get Dia and can you interpret what he told CNBC? So the SaaS part of Dia, or I'm sorry, the SaaS part of Arc, the design of Dia, that part makes sense.
Yeah.
What is the enterprise know-how? I guess just delivering it to the customers.
Yeah, I guess that I didn't understand it when I worked there, to be perfectly frank with you.
Fair,
but it's in line with their with their mission to serve enterprises and to make everyone work together better. I think that's not the tagline, but it was something about making big organizations, people work better together. So
I definitely get the sense that this is not, "We're coming for you, Chrome." This is, "Hey, customers, we'll have a browser you'll like."
That makes a lot of sense, just because their mission has been to acquire all these things and integrate them into a as seamless as possible big enterprise experience where you can meet all of your different needs. And I presume there probably might be something about customizing a browser for a specific set of enterprise customers where it is tuned to what, your internal knowledge and et cetera, et cetera.
That makes sense. And it would feel less, people would probably still use Chrome for things, but then use Dia or whatever they end up calling it, as if it's a specialty application. Kind of makes sense to me.
All right. Well, thanks to RW for pointing this one out on our subreddit. Switzerland, the nation, just released Apertus, its own open source large language model. It was developed by the Swiss Federal Technology Institute of Lausanne, ETH Zurich, and the Swiss National Supercomputing Center. It is completely open and meant to compete with LLMs from OpenAI, Anthropic, and others. Apertus is freely available in 2 sizes from Swisscom and Hugging Face.
Yeah, if anybody tries it out, let us know. Feedback at dailytechnewsshow.com. The game Hollow Knight Silksong, the sequel to Hollow Knight, is out, and no storefront can handle the demand. This is wild. It even caused Steam, which never fails, well, maybe not never, but rarely fails to deliver an error page on Silksong's store page. IGN staff were reporting trouble buying Silksong from the Nintendo eShop, the PlayStation Store, and Xbox. Verge was reporting the same thing. Indie developer Team Cherry sells the game for $20, and it is available, if you can get it, to download in Xbox Game Pass.
All right, well, Tencent released Huyen World Voyager on Tuesday, an open-weight model that can generate 3D videos from a single image. Each generation can produce 49 frames, which is about 2 seconds of video. It lets you move a virtual camera and adjust the perspective of the 2D image accordingly. Users can specify camera movements like forward, backward, left, right, or turning motions. Unlike other image generators, Voyager was trained to enforce spatial consistency.
Yeah, so that's a little different than your Soras or your VO3s. But there's some others that do this out here too. And then you have to sequence them all together because 2 seconds isn't enough. As we track the prevalence of fast internet on airplanes, worth noting that Amazon has reached a deal with JetBlue to provide gigabit internet service to its planes using Amazon's Kuiper satellite network. Don't get too excited. It's probably not going to be on your next flight because Kuiper won't start testing its service at all, not just for JetBlue, but for anybody until later this year or even early next year.
And finally, Reuters says its sources indicate big Chinese companies like Alibaba and ByteDance still want to buy NVIDIA H20 cards despite pressure from the Chinese government to find alternatives. They're also interested in the possible upgrade, the B30A.
Yeah, those are inferencing chips. And they're like, yeah, we kind of still want those. They're pretty good. Those are the essentials for today. Let's dive a little deeper.
All right, well, the NBA, MLB, and other major leagues are acting more like venture capital firms, and they're investing in startups using AI to change how we experience sports. Andy Beach has more.
Andy, thank you for joining us and bringing a sports story.
It's hard to believe. I've told you before, I'm not the world's biggest sports fan, but I work with a lot of sports tech and sports media, and this one definitely caught my eye.
Yeah, and the crossover here is it's the sports leagues, but they're acquiring startups. They're doing what all the big tech companies do. Explain this to me.
Yeah, so they're not necessarily always acquiring them, but what they absolutely are doing is they've set up their own sort of VC-like firms. They basically have set up their own monetary funds, and they are actively looking for startups, particularly startups right now that are in the AI space.
So they're more like Google Ventures than Google.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
They are thinking of themselves. What they are trying to do is effectively seed the market and find the very early stage companies that are thinking about how to cleverly use AI in a very sports media specific scenario.
All right, give me some examples here, because I'm having a hard time. We all know about AI putting the yellow line on the football field and stuff like that. Right. But I imagine we're talking about stuff well beyond that.
Yeah, it goes in a lot of directions. And this was an information article that I found, and I'll call out some of the ones that it had in there. So there was Major League Soccer here in the U.S. Invested directly in a company called CAM AI, CAMB.ai. And it was entirely around how to very rapidly dub a live stream into multiple languages. So without changing your workflow, without changing your pipeline, without having to create multiple proxies of the live stream, which always sort of either degrades the content or it increases the latency, meaning I'm now behind the broadcast. This company CAM AI had ways of dropping effectively AI translation into the workflow so that they could offer it in alternate languages here in the States or globalize the content for broader audiences.
Yeah, which, with somebody like Son Heung-min coming from actually England, but he's Korean, to the United States and playing in the MLS, suddenly they're going to have a lot more Korean people interested. And so if they could immediately flip a switch and all the broadcasts are in Korean, that makes a lot of sense.
Right. And NBA had another great example of this. They were working closely with a company called One Court, who are building haptic interfaces for blind fans to experience.
Okay.
So they're creating effectively a way that you can turn a touch device or a haptic device into something that reacts to the game so that you feel like you're following along more than just listening. You're actually feeling it.
That's fascinating. I want to see more of what that involves and how that translates, because that is an aspect of the game that I don't think anybody just previously gave a lot of thought to, unless you are visually impaired, right? When you're like, well, right. I wish I could, when I'm in the stands, maybe I feel the rumble, right? But what about at home? That's great.
Right. Absolutely. And it's not just the media side of the business as well. There's also all of the leagues have a lot of investment in player health technologies as well. So they're constantly looking for new things that either help the players monitor their health during the day and during the workouts that are going on. They've even invested in computer vision in different sports that help them better identify when a player needs to take a break in a game, or even maybe sit a game out because they've pushed too hard over the last several games. And there was one that was called out in here called Somni that was really around sleep tracking for athletes. So just as much as they're thinking about the content that goes out for the fan, they're thinking about the startups that are thinking about the player health as well, because in a way, the player's health is part of the investment of the game. Ultimately, if they have a player that gets hurt and sits out, it's bad for the player, but it's bad for the league and it's bad for that team as well.
Yeah, more now than ever. It's clear to me that the benefit to the leagues would be they get early access, possibly cheaper access, certainly friendlier access to all this stuff faster if they're an investor. But usually these sorts of things work two ways. Usually the company that's getting the investment not only gets the investment, which is a huge help, but also can get some other intangible benefits from the company investing. Say Google will share some data or something. Is there anything like that going on?
Well, I mean, one of the biggest things is if you have a league that is investing in you, you effectively now have an inside track to being able to ask them at any time for access to content or games so that you can test in real time the work you're doing.
Okay.
NBA very, very famously has their summer league that they use really as a sandbox for these types of companies that they are looking at collaborating with, where they may not want to interrupt a production game during the regular season, but these off-season games that they get played become a great opportunity for them to allow someone to come in and test out an idea in almost a shadow production operation to see what the viability is. And that's incredibly important when you're in the middle of inventing a new product, so that you can really tune it to the pieces. Because you have to, when you're not there on the court side or the field side, you're making some pretty wide assumptions as to what might happen. And this really very quickly helps you dial it in.
Yeah. So they are getting an in, not that any other startup could go to the NBA or Major League Baseball and say, hey, can I try something with your minor leagues? But you have to convince them to do it. And so if they're an investor, you've already made a lot of the argument because they're an investor in you. That makes sense to me.
Yeah, that's exactly right. They're invested in basically you becoming successful. And so it behooves them to give you that access.
Are the leagues working together on any of these, or is it all like the NBA has their set and Major League Baseball has theirs, NFL has theirs, et cetera?
So they all certainly have their own, but I know that they definitely talk amongst each other, and they're all certainly aware of what goes on with one another, and that's very similar to sort of what goes on with the studios in Hollywood. So they're all sort of aware, and they all share some level of best practices, and tend to be relatively friendly, if not at arm's length with one another about how things are done. But they do each of these. I haven't seen any, and there were none that were called out in this that were sort of like co-investments amongst multiple leagues working together.
Well, that will be interesting because, it turns out all athletes sleep. So if somebody cracks the sleep tracking, you might be able to get a pretty penny from the other leagues, even if you're not direct competitors with them. Andy, This is great. Thanks for helping us wrap our heads around this. Really interesting stuff, and kind of points the way to some of the other uses of AI that don't get as much attention, I think.
Yeah, thank you.
If folks want to find out more about you or what you're writing, what you're working on, tell them about your home on the internet.
Yep. So these days I've been writing a lot around media technology and AI on Substack, and you can find me at enginesofchange.ai.
Excellent. Thanks, Andy.
Thank you.
Are you inspired to make a sports startup?
Honestly, these are some of I was really nodding listening to Andy. Some of these are kind of actually the things that I think AI would be wonderful at, and that would really provide some utility. Especially as someone who is a sports fan, my particular favorite flavor recently is American football, and the injuries thing actually really spoke to me, and as well as taking care of yourself because of all the pressure they're under. That stuff is actually really cool. I don't think I'll start my own startup. I'm not that kind of person, but I'll invest in one,
but you'll enjoy the fruits of their
and enjoy the fruits of their
I'm
labors.
With you. Well, if you have feedback about anything that gets brought up on the show, maybe you're like, no, I've got a startup idea. This probably isn't the best way to get in touch with us, but you can do it on social media at DTNS Show on X, Instagram, Threads, Blue Sky, and Mastodon, or for TikTok and YouTube, you can find us at Daily Tech News Show.
You know what's wild? Most people are still overpaying for car insurance just because it's a pain to switch. That's why there's Jerry. Jerry's the only app that compares rates from over 50 insurers in minutes and helps you switch fast with no spam calls or hidden fees. Drivers who save with Jerry could save over $1,300 a year. Before you renew your car insurance policy, do yourself a favor. Download the Jerry app or head to jerry.ai/ACAST.
This episode is brought to you by Capital One. Capital One's tech team isn't just talking about multi-agentic AI, they already deployed one. It's called Chat Concierge, and it's simplifying car shopping. Using self-reflection and layered reasoning with live API checks, it doesn't just help buyers find a car they love. It helps schedule a test drive, get pre-approved for financing, and estimate trade-in value. Advanced, intuitive, and deployed. That's how they stack. That's technology at Capital One.
We end every episode of DTNS with some shared wisdom. Today, Andrew commiserates on one of Tom's frustrations.
Yes, Andrew wrote, I heard you struggling with the new Authy app on office hours. I do an office hours live stream a couple times a week now. And I was complaining about how Authy changed how the logos look. Andrew wrote, I also think the new app sucks, and they broke all the photos they originally added. I had to go to settings and accounts and edit the icons and account names. I guess no one at Authy has multiple Google accounts. Yeah, and I just haven't got around to doing that. So I'm sitting there looking at, my email address, at G and then ... And they all have the same logo now. I'm like, which one is that? So,
oh my God, I'm so scared. Yeah. I don't know if I've updated Authy yet, and I do use Authy very extensively. So now I'm afraid of updating.
Just be warned. Yeah.
All right. Well, what are you thinking about? Do you have any insights for us? Share it with us at feedback@dailytechnewsshow.com.
Big thanks to Andy Beach and Andrew for contributing to today's show. Thank you for being along for Daily Tech News Show. You can keep us in business, if you haven't become a patron yet, it's not too late. Do it now. Patreon.com/DTNS. Talk to you soon.
The DTNS family of podcasts, helping each other understand.
Diamond Club hopes you have enjoyed this program.
This episode is brought to you by Capital One. Capital One's tech team isn't just talking about multi-agentic AI, they already deployed one. It's called Chat Concierge, and it's simplifying car shopping. Using self-reflection and layered reasoning with live API checks, it doesn't just help buyers find a car they love. It helps schedule a test drive, get pre-approved for financing, and estimate trade-in value. Advanced, intuitive, and deployed. That's how they stack. That's technology at Capital One.
Okay, real talk. Quitting or cutting back on nicotine doesn't have to mean changing your whole vibe or skipping out on your friends. That's why I'm into Quit with Jones. They make discreet, great-tasting nicotine mints. So when everyone else heads out for a smoke break, you're still right there, fresh breath and all. Plus, their app is actually helpful. You can log your mints, track your progress, connect with other quitters in the community, even play this 1-minute game that helps cravings pass. And with the combo of digital support and nicotine replacement, studies show people have way better chances of sticking with it. If you're ready to take a step toward quitting or just cutting back, go to quitwithjones.com/fresh10. You can take the free quiz and get $10 off your personalized quitting journey. That's code FRESH10. And just a heads up, the mints contain nicotine, which is an addictive chemical. Jones is FDA approved for 18 years and up.